I'm Pierre Buchens. I'm the chair of the board, and welcome to this business meeting. I'm going to start with a few slides, and then I'll give the floor to Keith. You will see that we have a lot of good news to report this morning. Let me give you a little bit of background, even though the vast majority of you know CUGH very well. Some of you might be new to the organization, which is still a very new organization. We were born less than 10 years ago. It's hard to believe, but the first meeting was in 2008, and we had at the time seed funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and from the Rockefeller Foundation, and we are very grateful to them for that support. And then we grew, and we opened a secretariat in Washington, D.C. in September 2012. And we have been growing since then with a very vast network of universities and of individual members. We have a board of directors of 15 elected individuals. And then we have 5 ex officio, including representatives from CDC, NIH, USAID, the Lancet, and the CUGH executive director. Keith is also ex officio. And the office in Washington is not a very big office. It's kindly hosted by the University of California at their Washington, D.C. campus, which is really great. It's well located. It also gives us access to meeting rooms and classrooms for workshops. And at the office, in addition to Keith, there is Dalal, Karen, and Arisa. The office is now growing with additional staff supported by grants like Julia Pivot, and will continue to grow, I think. But remember, it's still a very small office for a pretty big organization. The board members, you had a chance, I'm sure, to meet them during the meeting, but let me recognize the outgoing CUGH board members. And for the ones who are here, I would like them to stand and to be recognized. So Liz, Rafa, Judy, well, be recognized a little bit longer. Stand, let me, no, the outgoing board members. Outgoing board members. All right, no, you can be recognized. No, you have done a superb and fantastic job, and you will continue to, of course, be very active in the organization. I know that, so thank you. We have incoming board members, and if you look at the list, you will see that 50% are not from the US, which is the target we have. No, it's not a rigid target, but it's a target we have for the organization in terms of membership. At the board retreat, we set an objective to have 50% of non-US members, or perhaps even non-North American members, by 5 years from now. So in 5 years, 50% non-US or non-North American. And at the board, we try to follow the same equilibrium. So and as you can see, we are becoming a truly global organization, step by step, but relatively quickly. The incoming executive committee includes Anne Kurth, who will become chair of the board at the end of this meeting, Michelle Barry, who will be the next chair after Anne, Peggy Bentley, who kindly accepted to continue as a very effective secretary and treasurer. As you will see, we are in the black financially this year for the first time, and this is due to all of your effort, but especially Peggy. Thank you, Peggy. and then I will remain for 2 years as Chair Emeritus. We work very closely with the Secretariat, and you can also reach out to us at any time if needed. As I told you, the membership grew quickly, and we are now at more than 160 universities or organizations member of CUGH. So it's becoming a very big tent, which is good. And most importantly, we have a very high retention rate. So we are always, concerned when you grow fast. You're not sure if it's just a fashion effect or something, or maybe a Donald Trump effect, I don't know, that we want to be all together to support global health. You're always concerned that that will not last, the membership, but actually it does last, and that's really encouraging. And I think it's in part because we are offering clear benefits. When you have to pay your annual membership, which is, by the way, still very low because we try to keep the expenses low. As Dean of a School of Public Health, I have to pay more than 10 times more to be member of another sister organization. As Director of the Office of Global Health, this is limited. And actually, the members, they pay the fees sometimes from their Office of Global Health budget if they have one, but sometimes they pay it from their communication budget because we offer high visibility to the members by their presence on our website or many material, by the fact that they can use our seal on all their material. So in terms of a communication budget, this is a very small amount of money for high visibility, or sometimes they will pay the fee from their student recruitment budget. If you are a member, your programs, you Master in Global Health, for example, is advertised on our website, and students or potential students, they go to our website to find a global health program. So again, for a small amount of money, you recruit a student. I mean, in the US, as you know, with the tuition we have, if you recruit one student by being CUGH member, you have paid your fees for 10 years, right? Easily. So the funds can come from your recruitment, student recruitment budget. So I think it's because we provide these tangible benefits, the access to workshops, which are really helpful to many. For example, a workshop on risk management, or workshop on how to manage USAID grants and contracts. I mean, those are very tangible. And so if this is what is attracting you, maybe the money will come from your grants management office. It depends. So we are very, very keen, and Tim Brewer, our past president, has been very good at really insisting on having a list of tangible products we could deliver. It's not difficult to join. You can join as an individual member, which is relatively new. So we have about 300 individual members in addition to institutional membership. Now, if your university is a member of CUGH, you don't need to pay an individual membership. You're all members automatically. But if you're more isolated, perhaps, or if your university or organization is not a member, you can become an individual member, and more than 300 colleagues have chosen to do that. So that has been good too. You can find the membership information on the website. The website, which is pretty thorough and has been modified a year or two ago. So I really encourage you to go there to find everything we're doing. And we'll now give the floor to Keith, who will talk about the activities, the finances, and other aspects, and then it will be open for questions. Keith?
Merci, Pierre. And before Pierre, before you go, I just want everybody to know that, Pierre has been the chair for 2 years, and it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you, Pierre. I'll miss our weekly calls, but Pierre has been an absolutely outstanding board chair in the line of other outstanding board chairs that we've had here. But Pierre, thank you. It's a volunteer position. All of the board members are volunteer positions. So Pierre, thank you. Merci beaucoup for all of the work that you've done for all of us.
Merci à toi.
Absolutely. So, very importantly, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Absolutely. There's two types of people in the world, as we know, those that are Irish and those that want to be Irish, right? So most of us are wannabes. Thank you very much for being here early in the morning. And as Pierre mentioned, this is a chance for us to share what we're doing and for you to give us feedback in other things that we should be doing as an organization. Before I go any further, I just want every board member, because some of you who are here did not stand up, all board members, please stand up right now so people know you're the volunteer board that we have. Dr. Klopper? Perfect. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'd also like to note that Delon Lajara, the Deputy Director, and Arissa Koyam, our Administrative Assistant, are here, and Karen Lam, I think, is outside, so thank you for all your hard work. Okay, so let's move forward. The 2017 conference that we had, I just want to really thank Dean Trish Davidson, who's on our board, is the Dean of Nursing at Hopkins, and Tom Quinn, who's here from Johns Hopkins, and Nelson C. Combo from Equerry, for working so closely with us. This was an immensely successful conference. It generated a profit of $250,000, and we had 1,820 attendees from over 50 countries. What we did at that for the first time, in order to make sure that the incredible presentations are not going to be lost, we had a wonderful nurse master's student that Virginia Rowthorne connected us to, and Brianna McKinnon created an ebook. That ebook is on our website, and that ebook compiles in a concise way the presentations and recommendations and backup documentation to support the presentation. So please look at our website. We're going to do the same thing here at our conference this conference in particular. 2018, our registration rate was 14% higher than last year. Who attended the satellite sessions on the 15th? Yep, so the reason why we have those is that they were, incredibly successful. Our 6th Global Cancer Day with NCI was oversubscribed to. The surgery, Global Surgery Day, bringing together the ecosystem of different skill sets necessary to provide access to surgical care, surgeons and everything that supports that. They were oversubscribed to, and that's in 2 years. We had our 2nd Built Environment meeting. So we use our satellite sessions as a way for people to roll up their sleeves and to be able to deal with a big issue in a comprehensive way, network, and hopefully move forward in the intervening year to be able to work on solutions to those challenges. We developed new tracks for education. There's a special section for undergraduates. The best undergraduate posters are featured here on the e-posters. And I think I mentioned before, earlier in this conference, this is the first time that we've done e-posters. So your feedback is going to be very valuable for us to be able to tell us what we did right and what we did wrong with regard to those e-posters. And we had a number of Lancet commissions here too. CUGH'S finances, we started in 2013 with a deficit of $149,734, and then over time, working with the finance committee that Peggy Bentley chairs and our office, we brought it down to last year with a surplus of $167,022. That is 3 years ahead of schedule in terms of our target. So financially, we're in good shape. Revenue sources, most of them, of course, are membership. And last year I said we want to diversify those sources. So let's see, I'm going to skip that because there's something on there you can't see yet. But I'll talk to you about it. We've actually been successful in getting a grant from the CDC to be able to train individuals in global public health to strengthen the CDC's workforce. We've also we've been told that we've been successful with Johns Hopkins, with PHI being the prime, much thanks to Dr. Sharon Rudy, who's here, and her incredible work in moving that forward, and working with Tom Quinn at Hopkins and Eric Gooseby at UCSF. So the scuttlebutt is that we've been successful at receiving that grant, which should enable us to hire 2 more people later on this year. And we'll know in the middle of next month whether we're successful. The other thing we did is, because we have such a small footprint in terms of our secretariat, we put in a concept note to a foundation to be able to hire somebody for 2 years for advocacy and communications. They have told us that they like the concept note, and they've sent us a formal process of application. So hopefully sometime this year, we'll be able to be successful at getting the funds to hire somebody for 2 years for advocacy and communications. So I think financially, we are diversifying our funding base. These are the CUGH'S standing committees, and some of them have subcommittees, like the Education Committee has 8 subcommittees. If you're a member, you can join those committees. So we really would like to make sure that we have diversity in those who are joining the committees, so we can tap into your expertise to affect the issues that those committees address. As I mentioned, we have education. I think a couple of some of the things that we've done is that there's a capacity building subcommittee that was created last year that Dr. Andrew Dykins leads, and they've created a platform, kind of like eHarmony for global health. So it's a platform that links up the training needs of low to middle income countries and attaches and shares those widely, so we can match, or people can actually go to those sites that need specific training and be able to work with them to deal with the colossal human resources deficit that occurs in low-income settings. So I'll just move forward with this. We've got the Educational Products Subcommittee that accepts and curates educational products that we share. We have the Global Health Program Advisory Service. This is a mentorship program for members. So this program links mentors with nascent global health programs, or people who just want a little advice over a year how to grow their global health programs. That's been going on for 3 years, and much thanks to Dr. Jonathan Ripp for his hard work in creating that. Oh, just let me go back a second. Yep. So we have a trainee advisory committee. Is Maria here at all? Maria? Oh, thanks, Maria. So Maria is the head of our TAC. Now, the TAC is a cryptic term, but it actually is our student trainee group. And Maria leads that. And with Maria and her team of students that they have, we're going to work with them on issues important to students. So know that we have a mechanism of engaging the student population that's really important to us at CUGH. We have a number of working groups that we created. So we try to figure out how can we focus people's efforts with a particular skill set. So Dr. Quinton Eichbaum and Dr. Mariki de Villiers started a AfroHealth CUGH working group. This is a working group between CUGH and AfroHealth that has over 40 institutions in Africa, academic institutions, and we're going to work with them on the training side. Quinton, you want to put your hand up? Quinton is there, and I don't know if Mariki is here. So they co-chair that particular group, and what they're going to tackle are capacity building issues in African institutions. Virginia Rowthorne leads our new global health law interest groups. She's mobilizing the legal community to be able to deal with issues of human rights and justice. Tracy Rabin works on ethics and best practices. Shannon Marquez is leading a minority serving institution engagement group. Now, these are the historically black colleges, tribal colleges, and Hispanic colleges. So those 3 groups really have not been able to engage in the global health enterprise. So we were trying to figure out ways to engage them, and Shannon has agreed to lead that effort to engage minority serving institutions in what we do. So we also have other graduate medical education that James Hudspeth leads, and interest groups such as an oral health interest group that Dr. Brittany Seymour from Harvard leads, and how to strengthen oral health capabilities in low-income settings. The research committee that Dr. Elizabeth Grant co-leads, Dr. Grant, there you go, is doing a fabulous job of, they curated journals, TURF, the predatory journals with global health science and practice, and that's on our website. Zoe Mullen, who's on our board, she ran a workshop, a writing workshop on the 15th. And Dr. Landrigan, Phil Landrigan from ICANN Mount Sinai, he agreed to have an entire specific edition of the Annals of Global Health devoted to scientists from African institutions. And Nelson C. Wancombo, our former board member, is the guest editor for that. Advocacy and communications, we ran our first Capitol Hill Day last year. We're putting press releases out. We've developed relationships with different big groups like ASPPH, Research America, and others. And we're really grateful for the input that they have given to us. So we're exceptionally thankful for them sharing their material so we can mobilize our members to defend global health investments here in the United States. We ran our 5th Global Health Film Festival on the 15th, which was well attended. And we have our NPR, Johns Hopkins Global Health Now Untold Stories competition. Now those winners are going to be, one is going to be an NPR, and Global Health Now is going to do a story on the other winner. We have CUGH television, of course, competing with CNN, and they're very scared, I might tell you. Anderson Cooper, I get nasty emails from him saying, leave. So, but we have a CUGH TV. So if you have videos that you want to show, please send them to us and we can put them on CUGH television. We have our second actually conference photo display. The first one last year was on nursing. There's a wonderful display outside of 2 award-winning photojournalists. And by the way, on the left-hand side, as you go out, you'll see the winners of our Global Health Video Competition. So we're trying to figure out ways which people can communicate using not only prose, but also visual means. Our campus reps are now 61 campus representatives, so a student in 61 institutions here in North America that Maria leads. And we put out 11 webinars last year, and our monthly bulletin goes to 30,000 people around the world. We had 18 member visits too. Future activities, working with our colleagues in the Midwest, we know that global health is really bicoastal, right? So we want to engage our colleagues in Middle America, here in the US, and we're doing that through our colleagues in their Midwest meeting that happens later on this year. Minority serving institutions, and internationally, through initiatives like the AfroHealth CUGH initiative, we're working with them to engage their members, and hopefully they'll join us. Alrighty. Our education committee, as I said, they work a lot on member needs, and those are posted on our website. I'll move forward. Now we've locked down our conferences to 2021. So 2019 will be in Chicago, and those are our host institutions there, and that's the theme: translation and implementation for impact in global health. 2020 will be in Washington, and 2021 will be in Houston. So we've locked down place and time for both of those, and all of them will be in the spring. Those are the ones I mentioned. So thank you very much, everybody, and I think if Dr. Buchans comes up, then we will answer your questions. So thank you. So please go ahead and ask us all the tough questions to Pierre. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah,
Congratulations on your finances. It looks like you turned it around. I noticed that initially you had several years of deficit and then you had a surplus. What is the bottom line right now in terms of the surpluses? Have they completely wiped out all the deficits so that your bottom line is still positive?
Well, we have savings in the bank that far exceeds the amount of money of $167,000. So financially, we have a very good and healthy savings in our bank accounts. But on a year-to-year rollover, we have moved from that deficit and flipped it to a surplus. It's never a given every year because you never know who's going to attend our conference. That's why by diversifying our funding streams that we're doing and are being successful at it, it'll give us even greater padding on a year-to-year basis to not be subject to the challenges of making sure that every single conference is going to be in the black. I must say, though, that we at CUGH, as Dr. Buchan said, we subsidize every student, every LMIC attendee at the conference. The cost we charge to students in LMICs is below the cost to us. So in effect, we are trying to keep it as affordable. We're sensitive to the issue of finances being an obstacle to participation, and we would like to do our best to remove it.
Yeah, the previous deficit were not the result of lack of success. The founding board built a very significant reserve, and during the following years we used that reserve to launch new activities, to create the secretariat, and there was a business plan with an objective to eliminate that deficit by I think it was 2020. So we're able to do it earlier.
And please line up at the mics. I'd really like to thank Dr. Judy Wasserheit, who's coming off our board. She was our first board chair when I joined in September 2012. And Judy, you did a magnificent job in getting top-up funds from the Gates Foundation, which was a lifesaver for us. So thank you so much for that. If you have questions, please line up at the mic so we can identify you. And please let us know who you are when you ask a question.
Hello, I'm Inga Corliss. I'm from the MGH Institute of Health Professions. Our institution is not a member. And I was wondering about I came as a non-member individual. I've been watching this organization for some years. Does it make sense to have a lower rate for individuals who are not members and then a better rate for those where you have two people from the same institution? What you want to do is attract people to the organization. It would be a benefit if you had a membership rate that would benefit people where there are more than one. If I could persuade a colleague to go, it should be even better for my institution if they join the organization rather than me paying out of my own money and a colleague doing the same. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You might want to attract people that way.
Sure. Who do you want to? Okay, thanks. So thanks for the question. There's a couple of parts to that. One thing to remember above all else is that if your institution is a member of CUGH, every faculty person, every student, every administrator, every single person with a .edu address for that institution is also a de facto individual member of CUGH. So it's pretty inexpensive when you consider what it is. Now, the issue of actually having discounted rates for more people, individuals, administratively it becomes a bit of a headache to be able to manage that properly and financially. So it's just difficult to keep our books.
What I mean is that you have a discounted rate when there's the first person coming from the institution,
Right.
with the idea of that person going back to the institution, raving about the meeting and what there is, and the advantages for all for joining the organization. That's what I'm as a way of getting people to join the organization, getting institutions, because that's what you want. You want the institutions
Correct.
rather than the individuals, and it's trying to help that to happen.
Okay, maybe we can talk offline if that's okay. I'd like to hear more about that. Thank you. Please.
My name is Isla Landry, and I have my MSN in PH and started a nonprofit working in rural Nicaragua to do community-led community development projects, as well as I'm an adjunct professor online. And my question is about translation. All of these resources are amazing, but they're in English. And so we're saying we're global, and English is not a, it's global language, but the places that we're talking about, specifically reaching out and working with, may not speak English. So what are your plans to translate these resources?
Yeah, that's a very good point, and we have been discussing this at the retreat, and we will start having webinars in Spanish and in French, and so it's a first step, toward having more material in other languages. So it will be, step by step, but it's a very good point. And it might not always be a translation, it might just be material in another language, because we cannot really do translation sometimes, but we'll go beyond English, which would be better for me, because as you can tell, this is not my native language.
Dr. Fine?
Yes.
I just want to respond to this as well. And I'm representing the Global Health Institute at the American University of Beirut. So we are also collaborating. We're part of CUGH. We're collaborating with CUGH. Part of our offerings will be in Arabic, and we will make them also available at the CUGH website.
Thanks. And happy first anniversary of the American University of Beirut for your Global Health Institute. Please, Dr. Fine.
Yes, Oliver Fine from Weill Cornell. I wanted to inquire how the organization has been affected by the Trump administration, and whether, in fact, there have been difficulties, for instance, in having international partners come to meetings and so forth because of various immigration limitations.
Thanks, Dr. Fine. It's, the shock of last year, President Trump's budget was jarring for everybody. So we did a number of things. One is first of all, we got a working group together that met regularly with ASPPH, with Research America, with IDSA, and with others, Georgetown University, some of our members, to be able to strategize about what we should do and what we should send out. Some of those groups, particularly IDSA and ASPPH, had some very good material. So we used that material and we sent it to our members. We gave them direct and explicit directions on who to call. And who to call were on a couple of critical committees in the US government, and particularly the Republicans on those committees. That's one thing we did. The second thing we did was to go to the Hill and just talk to people from both sides. The third thing we did is to share material that came from, for example, the Fogarty Institute. They put out webinars, basically public information, it's not webinars, well, they were webinars. So public information webinars about what is Fogarty, what does it do? So we shared apolitical information widely using all of our tools that we have. And then we also did our own webinars with CDC and with NIH, giving them a chance to showcase what they're doing. And then with our members, we got sharper. So our members, of course, we can actually speak in defense of our colleagues in the public service, because our public servants cannot advocate, they cannot get political, as we know. So our role, we feel strongly about the fact that we're here to defend US government agencies that are involved in broadly in global health, which includes the EPA, quite frankly, and NOAA, EPA, USAID, obviously. So, our members have done, John Patz and Madeline Finkel, I think it was, did a great job of showcasing the importance of global health, and we share those widely through our members.
So my thoughts have continued on access, and I was wondering if you guys have considered a virtual pass or ticket. I know flights are terrible in terms of carbon emissions and access barrier, flights and the cost of flights and lodging and all of that. And with technology like Facebook Live and so many others, have you thought about providing even this conference virtually?
Well, here's the challenge for us. By being able to, first of all, to be able to film this conference, so I'm not being disparaging to this hotel, but a box lunch with a sandwich, an apple, and a cookie costs $105. A Coca-Cola can costs $15. So the cost to actually film, so we film these sessions, But filming and being able to record and live stream in any hotel in this country is unbelievably expensive. It's completely unaffordable to us.
On a smartphone?
Pardon me?
On a smartphone,
You're not allowed to do it. The hotel controls the right to film. So it's something I learned to,
Yeah. So
and it's
a great
really,
idea.
really expensive to have a kind of production cost. Even if you film yourself, they have to have somebody from the hotel next to you. So,
Thank you.
but that doesn't mean that, that we are not trying to be more accessible and especially online.
So we created the ebook to be able to make sure after the fact that people at least had access to the great presentations that happened at our conference. Dr. Omaswa?
Good morning. I'm Francis Omaswa from the African Center for Global Health and Social Transformation in Kampala, and a member of this great body. The resources available are tremendous. How can we support a growing movement like in Africa now to enable countries to achieve universal health coverage? Is a lot of committees there and so on. Is there a mechanism which together we can, you were successful with the Fogarty and so on. This is just another example.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Maswa. We had this conversation this morning, actually, because we had a meeting with our advocacy and communications team, along with students, along with Dr. Buchans and others. And we're going to obviously move forward by listening to what you and your colleagues at AfriHealth, how you can guide us and how we can be effective at being able to strengthen advocacy on the African continent with regard to advocacy for universal health coverage. We have a really wonderful relationship with the Pulitzer Center for Crisis Reporting. So thanks to Rebecca Kaplan and her team, they have products that enable people to learn how to advocate, and we're going to share those. We'll be more diligent in sharing that material. So hopefully we can be a conduit to training. I hope that that training is going to be culturally appropriate, but you and the team, Francis, are going to guide us in terms of how we can be a better partner to strengthen advocacy on the continent. Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, Larry Roth with International Cancer Expert Corps. The progress on all your various objectives is clear and impressive. What keeps you up, vis-a-vis CUGH, what keeps you up at night? What are the 1 or 2 challenges you see in the future that you're grappling with? Would be interesting. On a local note, today could be a good day to have pizza or Mediterranean food. That local charming Irish pub's going to get a little rough later. So as a local person, I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you, Mr. Roth.
And that's the most helpful piece of information from this business meeting. Thank you for that. I think our main challenge is to make sure we really make a difference. If you look at our mission statement, it's not about organizing meetings or being together. It's about making a difference in terms of health outcomes. And I think it's happening to some extent by having really colleagues from different disciplines working together. But how can we really make sure that the meetings are action-oriented? That's, I think, our main challenge. People always ask me what is keeping me up at night, and actually nothing, because I sleep very well. But when I wake up, though, in the morning, and I think our first keynote speaker was very clear about that, I see a world more and more divided. So that makes an organization like CUGH even more important to fight against this division and this trend to retrench and not to share.
Anybody else?
I'm Saumya Vikramasinghe from University of Peradeniya. First of all, I'd like to congratulate on a wonderful conference. But I have seen a lower representation from Asian countries in the conference. So how do you plan to get more of those countries involved? Because that's a rapidly developing area. There are a lot of global health problems going on.
Well, we certainly want to have participation from all around the world, and actually we have a university from Sri Lanka co-hosting this conference, and that was one way to try to attract more participation from South Asia. So this will also be one way in the future. We are talking about regional meetings. It will take time to be done. It will be always in collaboration with other institutions. But Asia, as Africa, as Latin America are absolutely central to our organization.
I have a
Dr. Rudy, you have the last word.
A question and a comment. The question, I'm wondering if there's any conversation going on around certification of global health graduate programs. I'm just curious about that. And the comment is, I would really love to see a more robust presence of global health employers in interaction with CUGH, and just having CUGH create a space for mutual influence and dialogue. And I would throw the donors in there as well. And if I could help that in any place, I would.
Maybe I'll take the first question and you'll take the second one. And we have a lot of discussions about certification. It would make the field stronger, but it could also clip its wings, right? It could also, as a dean of a school of public health, having to go through the CEF accreditation process, I know that it is very helpful, but it's also creating so many constraints that, the professional organization is then entirely, talking about that and about keeping the certification. So I don't know what's the perfect answer there. So far, we have decided to remain very open and not to try to do that, but the pressure is there, and at the academic level, it would make the global health programs much stronger and much more recognized by the administration. So it's an open debate. We have 2 years ago created a seal, which is not a certification, but every time you renew your membership, we are giving you access to that seal, and it's just telling that you're a member, but remember, as an institution, to be a member, it's not an automatic thing. You have to go through a process where we check especially that there is a multidisciplinary approach there with more than one school or college involved. So that was a first step. So if on your website you have a seal, an accreditation seal, you can also use our seal. Again, we are not doing a certification, we are not doing accreditation. This is not the equivalent, but it shows that it's a program which is part of, that your institution is part of CUGH. So use the seal electronically and also on your paper. I do. And so I have my accrediting body seal and then the CUGH body seal.
Thanks, Sharon. So Dr. Sharon Rudy is the head of the Global Health Fellows Program 2. That's under the Public Health Institute. And Sharon, you've done an amazing job. Over the years, Sharon has really done some very interesting work looking at the needs of employers and you graduates. So a recent study that was done by two of our members with Sharon and her team is on our website, the report, and it really looks at what's missing in terms of skill sets for new graduates and what employers would like to see in the new graduates. Interestingly enough, there was an alignment between both. So what we're doing is taking the work that Sharon has done and putting it on our website, which is there, but also our educational product subcommittee, which Dr. Lisa Adams runs. I sent her the needs list and asked them to go and identify open courses that can actually match to the deficits. So by sharing those deficits that you've identified would be wonderful. We had a job fair in Washington last year, and we'd like to do it again. It's a real challenge to do it, but I had some recent conversations with the folks at Georgetown University, and we're going to put our heads together to see if we can have another job fair working with Georgetown. So to try to do exactly that, Sharon, is to try to build better bridges between us and the private sector and funders. So I think we're okay. Oh, I think.
Maybe a last.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Yes. Of the institutions that are members of CUGH, how many would you say are medical schools? And do you think that it would be worthwhile to focus on attracting more medical schools that have an interest in global health as members and activities that would be involved with CUGH?
We don't. Our members are not schools or colleges, they are universities. No, in how many cases is the primary representative from a medical school? Maybe you know that.
I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I can tell you is that what Pierre said was absolutely correct. If a medical school joins, the entire university is a de facto member. But we have actually identified lots of medical schools and nursing schools across, and public health schools across the country, and we are trying to encourage them to join us. So we've got a more granular contacts in terms of different schools that exist. So we've already approached them and will continue to do so. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.